morning and welcome to the Dumfries Icebowl for the Scottish Curling Junior Mixed Doubles Championships. My name is Owen McCrossan and I'm delighted to be joined in the commentary box today by David Ramsey. How are you today, David?
Owen, delighted to be here. First chance on the microphone, you might regret it. Probably in this game, if not later in many other games, but very interesting to see it from this angle.
Absolutely. So for those at home, we are playing mixed doubles. So mixed doubles is slightly different from the regular game. Teams are comprised of two players, one male and one female. Each team delivers 5 stones per end, with one player delivering the first stone and the last stone, and the other player delivering the middle 3. The game that we're streaming today is Naomi Brown and Ewan Kyle against Hayley Duff and Robin Brown. Are you excited for this game, David?
Yeah, it's an interesting lineup because it's 4 of our strong young junior players. Not that experienced in mixed doubles. It's their second year for both these pairings, having played together, but so they're still learning about it. And the strategy and the approach to this game is pretty different from the 4-man team. So we'll see how they handle it. Absolutely.
So before the game, each team had a 5-minute practice, and after that practice they delivered 2 draw shots, one clockwise and one counterclockwise, and that will determine the hammer. The umpire, you can see, Jim, is just walking up there to let us know who's got the hammer. And how crucial do you think that is, David?
Hammer's really crucial. Hammer's really crucial. We're certainly not in the 4-man team. You win 6 out of 10 games when you win the hammer. Not sure if we know the stats in mixed. Not sure if we've seen enough mixed to really know, but having the hammer gives you control.
It seems here, as we start off, that Naomi and Ewan have won the hammer, so Robin has got us underway.
Interesting to watch because I watched the pre-game practice, and the ice is really swingy, certainly very swingy out to in, which favours this format, trying to get to the forefoot, so I think it'll make for exciting curling.
Absolutely. The pre-positioned stones, so the stones can be in one of 6 positions. The stone today is in position 2.
So that's tight to the rings.
Absolutely.
Highlighting the swing on the ice. Good first stone there.
We can immediately see a bit of a difference in the teams here, that Robin is playing the first and last stone, but Naomi is playing the first and last stone for her team. Do you think there's a better way or a right way to do it in terms of whether the man or the woman should?
I asked them both if they've stuck to this format in the 2 years they've played this. They haven't changed the order they've played in, so they presumably feel comfortable, and there may be good reasons for what they've picked. Ewan certainly has a lot of power in the middle of that team, and maybe that's where they've kept him. But I'm sure they're still experimenting a little bit, and I know some of the teams even this year that are very experienced have changed their order. And I think it's a little bit of finding out what you're most comfortable with.
Absolutely. I know that I think perhaps it's too early in the format to know what the right way is, or even if there is a right way, it could just be what works for you.
Both players in that position suggested that if you didn't get draw weight early on in a game, you really struggle because you don't get 2 consecutive stones, which obviously is very different from the 4-man team.
Absolutely. We can see there that things are just slightly back to 8 minutes, so maybe there are a few struggles with draw weight. But it is, of course, early in the game.
Trying to get control of the top of the 4s, what we've focused on in sessions and in discussions about it. And being back of the tee gives the opposition a little chance.
The stone is coming into the house. It maybe looks a little bit heavy. It will just bounce off. Both these teams have played some mixed doubles before. Naomi and Ewan were the runners-up in this championship last year. They lost out to Ross White and Sophie Jackson, who we'll see in action later on today.
Yeah. And Robin and Hayley were quarter-finalists, I think, last year.
Yeah, well, they reached the quarterfinals of the Dumfries.
Yeah, just 2 weekends ago.
International 2 weekends ago, and the junior mixed doubles as well. They elected to play the Scottish mixed doubles, but with different partners. Hayley played with her dad, so I think that is a case of blood being thicker than water.
I'll mention that to John when I see him.
It's a nice tap there from you. You do seem to have, as you had said, control of the front part of the full foot there at the moment.
Robin's positioning, Hayley's obviously coming down on the in-turn side, making a play.
It's come off now. It's coming in past this guard, and looks like she is making play on that one. That's maybe the first hit rate shot we've seen.
Yeah, it's. I mean, they're probably hoping to check in a little there. I think it gives Ewan and Naomi an opportunity now to lie a good line-up with 2 yellows, probably angled up in the back blue. Will be their aim, I think.
Do you think they would, with this hit, would they want to move the yellow that is at the top of the button at all sideways?
I don't think they want to move it far. I think they want to line up so that it stays lined up on the back blue. And there is a finish after they come round the centre guard, so I think that is possible to do, and they probably lie 2 if they do that. They might tap it to the blue. They'd be okay with that. Okay, we're used to that in 4-man, but when there's just 2 of you playing, it's another challenge to work out the icing.
Everything is very difficult, or made more difficult with just two bodies on the ice. I know even when they were deciding the draw shot challenge, there was a bit of confusion as to whose out turn was the same as whose in turn.
So they've elected to remove that blue and chip across. Now I can't see the lineup yet. Pretty well sitting level.
Do you think there would be a double takeout on that?
I think they'll struggle. I don't think they can get to the inside, enough of the inside of the as we look at it, the right hand stone.
Do you think if you caught the right hand stone very thin, would you get some action with that?
I don't think you will. I think it's so thin you'll jam it on the blue behind.
Yep.
Just looking at it from here. Removing one will help though.
Now, we just saw Robin move sides there. Now, what will that indicate?
It indicates that Hayley's wide of line. He's moved side to try and directionally sweep the stone down the hill, if you like. So we're going to nose hit. That's okay. That's still in play, and causes a possible problem for the opposition with Robin still having one to come. There's an angle blue onto yellow if that is what he's left with. But again, you're commenting about changing sides. Robin would normally sweep on the inside of the arc of the stone, trying to keep it from curling. But Hayley must have called wide, so Robin switched sides to try and bring the stone down the hill, if you like, back to closer to the middle. And all with the modern pads and brushes, we think that we have less effect on the ice, but we definitely still have some effect of dragging stones
to come to this yellow.
Yeah.
And we see Naomi switching again.
He looks heavy though.
He is heavy, and he does knock his own counter out of the 4-4. That's not
that's not looking good now, because Naomi's got a tap, an inside tap for 4, or maybe 3 or 4. I'm not sure about the back 2. But so no, that's a disappointing shot from Ewan.
That would put Naomi under a lot of pressure here for her first hammer, and I suppose this is the interesting dynamics of mixed doubles, that Naomi could be in a position where she... Absolutely, I think especially with the power play that we may go on to talk about later in the game, if the teams elect to play it, that moves the stationary stone from the centre guard that we see
to good from Robin
to one on the corner.
That is a very good shot now.
He's not moved it quite as far as he wanted.
I thought it was going to move it.
That may well still be shot. It's difficult to tell from this angle.
And that's another interesting thing. Had you had 2 sweepers in the middle of that team, you could have probably effectively taken that blue 2-3 feet further and chipped the yellow out. But it's always a dilemma whether you have a person holding the brush or a person sweeping. They tend to have a person sweeping. Ewan changing body position there, must be a little higher line, trying to knock it down the hill now.
See, it's starting to swing. It's a really good finish on that stone.
And it could be 2-1, is it? Looks close.
Robin's certainly looking.
One away.
I think by the kick away it could be 2, but we'll wait for the players to put the score up on the scoreboard, which I'm absolutely sure will be very prompt.
You were playing, what, 2 weeks ago when down here?
Yes, I was at the CCT down here. It was a really excellent event, so some really good quality teams. And it was a tough weekend for myself.
No, I wasn't trying to rub it in. But I was going to ask you to comment on what you saw. You only see one end, but ice quality to me looked really good both weekends.
It was really big swings, which is what you really want for mixed doubles. I think perhaps the one thing in the CCT was maybe there wasn't quite that finish coming in to out, which is really important for the power play.
Yeah, so going round a corner guard rather than coming round the centre, you're referring to.
Absolutely.
Okay. Speed of ice?
We found it really quick, really very quick. We were timing is quite difficult with mixed doubles. I think we touched on it a little bit before this game started. We had a little chat with 2 people on the team. It's very difficult. The hedge will point towards more often than not, and from that angle it's almost impossible to get an accurate team.
Absolutely.
Robin just gets by the centre guard here, and that's quite a good shot. There is back tee, so the button is available. And you can see the scoreboard. It was a 2 for Brian and Kyle.
and something that there's a huge focus on stamina and power sweeping and now directional sweeping and how much of an effect you can create.
Absolutely. I think if you look in particularly the men's worlds that's on at the minute in Las Vegas, some of the difference that those sweepers make is quite phenomenal. Although there have been a few sweeping mishaps that we saw, most notably Korea against Switzerland.
Yeah, third player coming out, change of process. Do 3 sweepers make any difference?
Really coming down on her in turn this time. This line looks good. I think a lot of the play with hammer in mixed doubles is controlling that top forefoot, but also leaving yourself a bit of space.
Yeah, I think what they're not trying to do is lie shot all the time. They're trying to have control of angles, control of both sides if you can.
Yep.
And then later in the end, try and move your shot into shot position.
Absolutely. I should say at this time, if you have any questions for myself or David, feel free to get involved. You can contact us through the Scottish Curling Twitter pages or Facebook pages, and I'm sure David would be more than happy to answer any questions.
Always in the way.
I wonder if Ross White would agree with you there.
Actually, I had the pleasure of working with him at the World Juniors this year, and I think also they won the silver medal, but they were outstanding the whole week, and just a great privilege to work with such a good young team.
Absolutely.
And Alan, their coach, who's the main man there.
Absolutely, it's another interesting.
Done some of those measures with smart rooms lines, and you get surprising results. They sweep in a different way, usually in the head, much more upright and for a shorter distance, but they're really effective because they've got high pressure.
That was a really good sweep there by Robin to get it by. He doesn't look particularly pleased. Looks like the LOR line 2 at the minute, but as we'd said before, it's crucial for Blue to have that one at the top of the 8 foot. That's the one that they can use.
It just depends if we can close out the right hand side. There may not be an easy shot.
Some freezes, it's really important to keep things tee high, because of course once it goes past that tee line, it's not coming back up.
Correct. This looks tight. Is it flicking the guard?
A lot of the play this end was done.
It's just past the guard.
one down the other side, so maybe that caught them out a little bit. To seem like Naomi and Ewan do have control of the left-hand side of the sheet as we look at it now, and Robin is thinking about his options here.
You can see most of the yellow top of the floor, I think. If you drive that on, where do the yellows spring to? Or do you, because if you play a shot on the left of the blue and don't make it, then you really are going to be, you're not going to have a shot at the end.
One of the things that you'd said, I have played some mixed doubles, and the key thing that we found was that if
Stone starts to decelerate, will it start to take the kernel?
So she has removed the centre guard there, which wasn't the outcome they looked for, but it has opened things up. So they're hoping that they still will have an opportunity to score this end, which I think is really important.
Yeah, they're 2 down now. I think they're lying. I think they're lying 2 against. The middle yellow looks pretty secure.
Yep. I think if Naomi can get one where Ewan was just patting his broom, that'll be really difficult for Bryden and Duff to
Half
score.
round the top 4 yellow. Will prevent an angle.
You need to keep that communication going.
Communication with you and Kyle is always very important and not always very easy. As many of you will know him well. But that's a good shot, I would suggest.
I don't think it
probably hung out a little.
Yeah.
They maybe would have liked to tuck in behind the yellow. It's moved the blue out of play. The lie. 2-0-3 maybe.
Again, Robin Bryden in the way.
He's always in the way, that boy.
And this is the advantage, perhaps, of Bryden and Duff's formation as well playing, is that Robin does have that big weight.
Yeah. And it's interesting, the other team have chosen to, because Ewan has big weight too, and very accurate, and they've chosen maybe they think moving the centre guards in games is an advantage.
Well, I in my mixed doubles team I do play first and last, and my partner does play the middle 3, but that would be
because she throws bigger weight than you.
Well, absolutely. I was going to say, unlike we do it, we have the non-traditional setup, but for the traditional reasons. We've seen
thrown a bit away.
We've seen Haley has stayed at the
top. He's slightly high, and I think he's cut it right down to 1 anyway.
I think that's a pretty good result from the position they were in.
They're 3 down. The game's not over. It's mixed doubles.
Absolutely not. It was interesting there that Healy did hold the broom rather than sweep.
And I was actually in the NCA at the peak at the National Curling Academy yesterday with Ransu and Gons. The sweeper down with the player, and so that's their version of it. And I noticed, I was just commenting that I think it's nice to have a bush or a definite target to be playing at, and I noted one or two of their shots which I thought were steered off an approximate ice, if you know what I'm saying. I think it leads to a lot of release variation, I think.
Absolutely, you do start talking about things. You know, was it that water bottle I was aiming at? Was it the end of that pillar? Or
I don't think you'd like to use a water bottle as a target one, eh? Maybe an Irish curling, yeah.
Maybe. You start picking things on the backboard that you can aim.
I presume you're not deliberately placing them there.
That wouldn't be like me. We've been made aware of some technical difficulties that we may be having, and I do apologise for that. We'll do our best. Maybe muting David every so often isn't a bad thing.
Hopefully we're getting a good half.
That would be me.
I don't even know if you're getting this, are you? Are you getting this, Owen, or is this the half that's not working?
Not sure.
Well, this is a technological success.
You can see here the house. There are things that are slightly back tee, and Healy will look to, as we'd said, control the top of the 4 foot.
Everything's behind the tee, which definitely favours the team with a hammer at the moment.
This looks heavy again from Healy, and she is just rubbed off. Do you think maybe now the pebble is broken down, they're perhaps not quite up the...
Just at a 5-minute practice, there's not a lot of stones thrown in that time. Third end. They've played down both sides pretty well actually for the first 2 ends. So there shouldn't be one side quicker than the other, I don't think. It's quite difficult, you know, you're throwing a stone with one sweeper or no sweepers. It's, you know, you're conscious of that. I think it does affect your weight control.
Freeze shouting rather loudly at this one. It must be tight to the guard. We can see it come into the house. It's just wrecked on that guard.
That's interesting. That's Ewan off the left-hand hack there with a big swing on ice, and it's tough. I think he probably needs to take a good bit more ice down that side of the sheet.
This is looking like a dangerous situation here for Ewan and Naomi, as we talked about. 3 down. This is not over at all. There could be a big score here, and there's game on.
That blue is now protected. The corner frozen blue is now protected by that guard that Ewan's chipped over. It's tough to remove that blue. You're only seeing the outside edge of it.
Absolutely, and if you look at the if you were to freeze one in on top of that, then it does reduce the area that Ewan and Naomi would be aiming at. Sweeping this in, and it's good that it has come up short. But what do you think of that outcome, David?
Not clever. Now allowing them to freeze this blue, and you're going to insist that yellow's not possible to take out.
Yes.
No, that's not a good shot.
And she did have backing to come to. There were 3 or 4 stones she could have gone to.
Right into I would call it the craft of those 2 blue stones there. The yellow's not gone anywhere.
It's interesting. They were maybe slightly inside the draw path they'd been taken for the first shot, so maybe it was a slightly fresher path that they maybe just weren't quite aware of.
I think the right versus left-handed issues could really show up here, because you have to take considerably more ice coming down this side as a left-hander.
Ewan is shouting quite vigorously again, and this is curling quite a lot. Will he just get past?
And it flicks it.
Quite unfortunate.
Well, I think that's Haley not going to get out of jail there.
Yep. If they can get one in here, I think we can probably say it's got its pipe and slippers on for the end. It's not going anywhere.
Is that an Irish expression?
have to
pipe and slippers.
Yes. Well, that was John Joe Kenny that gave me that one.
Definitely Irish.
Absolutely. We have to give a shout out to Ross White, who we believe is watching from home.
Don't want any critical comments, Ross.
Constructive, of course.
I'm not good at feedback. I'm not good at it.
What, delivering or taking? There's a bit of a protracted discussion going on here. I don't really think there's much to discuss.
Right into the,
yeah.
They might want to chip the yellow. Obviously, you increase their score, but then they might.
I just think that freezing onto that yellow or not freezing onto that blue just gives them that option, and they will take it.
Yep. It's when do you make a move to lie? Is it slightly too early to lie?
Well, I think this is Haley's second, so. No, this is Haley. Yeah, this is Haley's third. So there only is one to come from the yellows. So I think you do have to come in now.
Okay.
Make Naomi make a freeze or a difficult button draw. So they have elected for a hit here, which I think is a bit of a surprising call. What do you make of that, Rambo?
Yeah, I thought they might have come in at lesser weight, chipped yellow, and retained their blues at the back of the forefoot. It's not a bad outcome, I have to say, though. The line 2, the angle's good.
The
others can probably take one out. I don't think they can move the locked blue. The nose hit might be shot, though.
Yeah.
Or nose tap might be shot.
I was about to say, if you freeze or tap,
nose tap.
because even if you freeze right onto the face of that one, you might not be shot, but there's almost no room. There's almost no room for Robin and Healy then. So.
And if they force a 1 here, they'll be happy. You've played a lot more mixed than I have, Owen. Do you think end-on-end plans are the same or different? We encourage all our young teams to have a plan for the end, you know.
Yeah.
What's the score? What's the scoreboard? What stage of the game it is?
Yeah.
What's the outcome you really want? What's your second choice? And what do you definitely not want? So, which allows you to, you know, set the end up properly and have a direction to the stones you throw. Do you think the plans are different in mixed?
So now it does just rub off here, which does give Robin a nose hit for 3, which would tie this game up. I think the principle of end planning is definitely still applies. The difference, obviously, between the mixed doubles game and the men's and women's game is that if you do blank an end, then you don't retain the hammer. So playing for a blank or having the blank as an acceptable outcome is something that's gone. The way I had the privilege of going to the World Mixed Doubles last year to coach Neil and Alison Fife from the Irish team, and we talked a lot about the difference between the first half and the second half. And the second half was very much an end game scenario where you were thinking about when you would use your power play, and the first half was kind of a setup. That's a good hit there from Robin, and we see that as a score of 3, which levels up the game. The big thing that we would talk about as well was about giving up steals. So we thought that giving up a steal of 1 wasn't necessarily fatal in the same way, because as we've just seen, you can take a 3 quite easily. But yes, there was very much the keeping the scoring going was the key.
It's interesting, and you know, that 3's tied the scores up, and whether they might have been better freezing it.
Hopefully you can still hear us. I know we are still battling with some of the technical issues.
First experience of commentating, we're not actually looking at the sheet of ice. That's the thing that I find quite difficult. So we're looking at screens, and we're looking at the screen that shows the slide, the screen that shows the head. It's my spatial awareness skills are not up to it. I'm having to pretend I'm looking at a map the wrong way around.
So that's a really nice draw by Robin. I think that's maybe the first time that we've seen in this game someone come to the top 4 like that. I think, as you said, in my experience of mixed, that's the key shot.
That's the first lead stone that we've seen where we would consider it to be in the right position.
Absolutely.
And that sounds really critical, but it's tough. It's tough out there. You know, weight control. What all 4 players I spoke to said, if you don't get your weight control early, you're really struggling this game.
Absolutely. It's great when you have your draw weight, but when you don't have it, it can be a very tough game.
Squeaks round.
And that's a good shot. That is a very good shot.
It's now protected the yellow.
Yeah, this is as Robin has indicated. We're gonna fall into a bit of a freezing game here, and this will be the battle of the ankles, because things can set up for a big hit, perhaps from you or even Robin on his last, and then who knows. You see Robin sweeping this stone. It does look like it's over curling. He's trying to keep it straight, but that has racked off. That does make things difficult for you and Naomi, though. We can see that there are 5 stones. The way I like to remember the kind of free cards rule is that if there are 5 stones in the house, you have 5 fingers on your hand, you can make a fist, therefore you can hit.
Yeah, 4th plate stone at the end. First stone that can take anything out. Remember, you can't take out stones that are in the rings in mixed doubles format. So there's patience required.
And we'll be attempting the double peel here, and I think that will simplify this end. It will give
the blue then becomes vulnerable.
Absolutely, it's a lonely looking blue, and Robin may have to start guarding, which is always dangerous if you're guarding a 1.
That's effective, yeah.
It's a very good shot.
Now we'll see whether they make a play early or not.
And of course, expertly swept out the back by Naomi. That's what made the shot really. Now, the really good thing about this from a yellow point of view is that the front is clear and you do have the whole house almost to operate in.
Yeah.
The scoring area is big, and that's a definite positive. Just while there's a discussion going on, we'll just have a look at some of the other scores. As you can see there, Cromer is leading 4-1 against Ballantyne. Henderson taking a 5-0 lead over Craig. That's a bit
quite
of a
surprise because Lisa and James did really well at the international mixed.
As did Faye and Andrew. They were.
Yes,
they were at the international.
And of course, the game's not over even at that scoreline. So,
and Andrew Cairn is trailing to McCormack and Barr 2-1, but that's a very.
Ryan will be delighted that Kirsty turned up in time.
We did have a pretty last minute arrival on the ice.
Yeah.
We do need to point that one out.
Well, Ryan certainly pointed it out. So
well.
I think they'll have had a team dynamic issue before they even started.
And would you like to share the story that Ryan had told you before the game?
About he told me 4 different stories.
Oh, okay.
So I must get the right one.
The one about timeliness.
Oh yes, no, I'm not going to share that because it will wreck his men's team. But Callum Kinnear, you know who we mean.
I think the freeze was called. This is going to pull up short, and it does over curl, which is not ideal. At this stage, do you think a nose hit would spring both blues?
Yeah, I think it probably would. You might lose the back yellow.
But again, you might not be too upset to have done that.
I don't know if they need to. If they just move the top blue,
okay,
and roll across, I think they're sitting well.
It's isolating that blue at the top of the board.
Yeah. I think that's probably a more aggressive shot than to try and raise. Also gives you another option on an angle.
Yes.
You know, you could use another yellow to move the blue out.
That was something.
If they protect it again.
That was something that my partner and I had discussed quite a lot. Was about hit weights and choices of hit weights, and with mixed doubles, as with regular curling, it's really important to keep your shooter around and to keep that right weight.
It's interesting because obviously mixed doubles is relatively new, and speaking with Alan Hanna a lot when we look at the World Juniors, and he's very involved with Bruce Moutt's team, and Bruce was probably our leading exponent of mixed doubles.
So an excellent shot there by you, and it was really well swept. And really nice weight choice, just squeaked by that top yellow.
And then, unfortunately, we didn't have a GB team in the Olympics. But Alan's convinced that Bruce's control of downweights, taps and hacks and barriers has improved enormously through him having to play a lot of these at mix, which is a really interesting insight, I thought.
Yeah, I think he seems really comfortable as well with the angles, which I don't know how much of that is just himself and his kind of attitude or philosophy with the men's game, but you can't help but think whether mixed has an impact on that.
Yeah, I think exposure to that, repeatedly that type of shots, when I'm really comfortable with playing it.
Absolutely.
And probably it's easier when you have two sweepers playing that way, because you can certainly have a huge effect on that weight of stone. And you can see that with Hammy and Bobby at the moment.
Yeah. I remember at the World Playoff, he had played, I think it was in the fifth end of the third game, he played a really delicate downweight, came back 12 stone for three. And the stone was fully buried, but the ice was swinging, and he knew that he could make it. And that was, I think, a really crucial swinging point in that game.
They're really, really confident about what they're doing now, sweeping, and it makes them very aggressive. If you watch them, they're a very aggressive team, which is great to see.
Absolutely. Now that's an interesting shot there from Haley. She didn't remove any of the counters, but she did move them about. And it looks like blue is certainly shot and fourth shot, but again it's a tightrope that if a double is made, all of a sudden there's only yellows.
It's a front to back double. I think they'll be disappointed if they don't make this.
Neil's coming down for another look, perhaps, just to check the angles. I do think if he catches this slightly,
just centre line of nose hit.
Yeah, I would agree. Should see it go across the top of that yellow at the back of the forefoot and out of the rings. And lying forward pretty well spread would put Robin and Haley in a difficult situation. Made that double, he has got the back one.
Yeah, he'll take that. He'll take that.
He's line three, and it's.
The interesting, Robin's taking the hit and rolling rather than limiting score. Yeah.
Dare I ask, is there a triple one?
There actually, no, I don't think there is. I think it's too thin. I think you missed the back one. Yeah, whether you hit and roll or whether you played front to back double, restrict the score. Not sure what they decided actually.
No, this is Robin, so I think I would maybe favour a double. That way your opponent maximum can score two, and as we've seen in the last 10, scoring threes are not uncommon. Again, if you do have any questions or comments, feel free to send us a tweet. We are at Scottish Curling, and we're also on Facebook as well at Scottish Curling. So
Haley's sweeping hard.
He does seem to be going for the hit and roll. Cut off at the end, and it rolls in.
It's really well played.
Pretty perfect.
Well judged, well swept. Now, race takeout. Race takeout.
4-3.
Naomi stone right though, isn't it?
Yes, this is the last stone in the end.
So let's see what weight they play this at.
Weight selection is quite interesting. I think you could make this at a controlled weight.
I would favour that. I think you can affect the sweeping more. You can make this at
we know this ice will swing.
You could. I mean, it's almost the line that you played. So it's. But what weight will they throw?
This does look like quite.
It's not up weight anyway, is it?
It's not huge, but Ewan is sweeping for that swing. This looks like a pretty good effort. She has made it. Will this one stick around for 3?
Robin clears there.
Robin manages to sweep that.
It's 2 though. It's 2.
Well, as the saying goes, if I score 2, score 1. Every way I add that up, I think I'm going to win.
Yeah, I don't think that rationale applies to mixed though, does it? That's a real 4-man team. And,
absolutely.
You were making the point about blank ends being different. And so it's a very different game. And it's a very different mindset, I think.
Yeah.
And I think that takes... And whether we'll have specialist mixed doubles players going forward, or whether people will play both disciplines, I'm not sure we've even worked out what the best policy for that is. But maybe mixed doubles will have its own world circuit. and become a,
I think that is expanding, and if that expands, being honest, there needs to be the resources and prize money there for the players to win, for them to consider playing it above men's and women's. And I think there's the interesting debate, because we had, of course, at the Olympics, some specialist mixed doubles teams, but the gold medalists were a team that played together for the first time a couple of weeks before the event.
And whilst it's great, there's so many new nations joining in mixed doubles, and it now seems to me that the more established nations are beginning to take it very seriously, and with their depth of curling, especially for Canada and Switzerland and Scotland, would have to argue, maybe they'll be applying more to mixed doubles discipline now. And we need to think about that with our junior academy and what opportunities we can give our youngsters for mixed doubles, because at the moment they're fairly limited, and in our role at Scottish Curling I really think we have to consider that.
So do you welcome this event in your role at Scottish Curling for the junior mixed doubles?
As someone who still thinks the free guard zone's a new rule, it's a tough culture change for an old man like me, but no, we have to embrace mixed doubles. We have to recognise it's been a huge success at Olympic level, and we've got to try and give chances and opportunities to our youngsters to play it, and then they can decide which format, if they have to eventually choose, they prefer. At the moment they can do both.
This is quite a nice shot there from Robin. Again, he's come top of the forefoot. That was the weight that he got last end, so he does seem to have his draw weight dialed in.
There's two good shots been played in, and the angles are a little bit, how the angles work out, a little bit not in your control.
And this is the point, of course, in the regular 4-man 4-woman game, that you would want to start hitting, but of course you cannot hit at this stage. You need to wait for that fifth stone to be in place. So if you were to remove one of the stones in the house, even that would be replaced and his shooter removed.
Left-hander. Is he trying to come round to the back stone? No, what's he trying to do?
I don't think that was the original call. Oh, and that has been removed from play.
I presume Naomi must have won that.
I think so. She did put a hand of apology up.
Well, there you go. It's interesting, over the hog line.
Yes.
Touch the stone.
That, if we are going to criticise Naomi, that's not quite what she should have done.
Opposition have the right to suggest what might have happened.
Yes.
I think it's a crazy rule. I think if you burn the stone, it should come off. And with a really difficult incident in the World Juniors with a young Norwegian team, and the furore that followed that about predicting what would happen.
Yep. So for those watching at home, if a stone is burnt, and by burning a stone you would touch it with your foot or your brush. If that is between the hog lines, that immediately is removed from play. After the hog line, what you should do, Naomi unfortunately didn't, is to stop, let the stones come to rest. Then the non-offending team has three choices. They can leave things the way they are, they can remove that stone, or they can put things where they think they would have finished. And that is a difficult line, as you were saying.
Well, it was very difficult in the World Junior, because actually it wasn't the played stone that was hit, it was the stone it was just about to touch that was hit. Right. And trying to predict where it would have knocked that stone to, and it was the final end of a really crucial game, and there was players in tears at the end of it, and it was a most distressing incident. And I think we have to think about the pressures we put on young players, and Game Pump unfortunately couldn't see what had happened and couldn't have predicted what had happened, so it was left to the players, or left to one player, which was tough. I thought certainly, at junior level I thought it was unnecessary, and we certainly made a presentation to the WCF about that and our concerns about that.
Not like you to not speak up, Robert.
Well, I thought it was a very, very difficult situation for young players to be put in, and could have coloured their whole experience of a World Junior Championship. And that's my real concern. These are people before they're curlers, and they have a whole lot of other aspects in their life, and I didn't want that to colour. Both teams were extremely upset, and it was, as I say, a very crucial game leading to who would qualify. So I think that there has to be a better way of handling it. So we made a suggestion to WCF about that.
It was a really excellent shot from Hayley Duff. She did just manage to move that yellow to the back of the forefoot. She maybe would have wanted to move it slightly further so that she would have set 2 or 3. But that did put Naomi and Ewan under pressure. They elected to peel that centre guard. They were trying to maybe run it back and get some of the blues in the house moving. But as I'd said, if you do peel that centre guard, do it as early as you can and as soon as you recognise that you're in trouble, because now it forces to guard it. It is
a much more conventional game.
Yep.
And I do think the ends of ends you should think of them much more conventionally. Sometimes I wonder that we seem to think it's a totally different game.
Yeah. But this is difficult. I mean, one of the things that I talked about in my mixed doubles team was that on this really swingy ice, it's a lot more difficult to guard a stone than it is to come around it.
Yeah. I accept that. I mean, it's tough on swingy ice.
Yep.
It's tough with one sweeper. It's tough when right and left-hander play and you're trying to judge how much ice to take.
Perhaps guessing the weight.
Yeah.
Or guessing.
And you're not always playing to a brush, and you're not always playing that precisely to a brush.
Yeah.
So
let's see how Hayley does here. She had elected to have this guard as we look at the picture slightly to the right of centre. Would that be your preference?
Yeah, I think that's the right shot at this stage of the game. The yellow in the forefoot obviously is movable.
Yep.
But if you move that early, they play on top of you and you don't score.
Absolutely. You don't. I wouldn't want to move that now.
So it's when do you make a play on that, or if you even make a play on that?
Because they are perhaps sitting 1 or 2 at this stage.
I think they're 1. I'm thinking they're 1 anyway.
Okay, well the one at the back of the... Oh, they are moving this. Turns out we were completely wrong by what shot they'd elected.
Well, I think now...
Ewan does have that uphill ability and can hit this really quite hard and move 2 or 3 stones.
I think you'll see a lot of blues exiting the rings.
Quite quickly. Checking the angles here. You see Ewan in his Korean top. Ewan and Robin, of course, were teammates, now turned rivals. They were both at the World Juniors. As you said, did very well with their silver medals.
I was commenting that was in the NCAA, but Fraser King, another part of that junior team, was in with Jane practicing for the World Mixed Doubles against the Spanish players. So there's a whole lot of practice and development going on all over the place.
That's interesting, because I think they are actually in the same group at the World Mixed Doubles, so that's a bit of a preview for them.
As you?
No, as each other.
The Spanish team.
Yes,
sorry,
Scotland and Spain are in the same.
Yeah, well.
We have the minnows of Canada, don't worry
about
it.
I heard you did a tough draw and I felt terribly sorry for you.
And then had a chuckle.
As I often do.
Yes, no, we start off with Canada, the Czech Republic and Korea, who finished in the top 6, all finished in the top 6 last year. We do have the pleasure of playing Guyana in their first
Well, the great thing about
event.
that is that we'll have nothing to lose, as they say.
Absolutely. Well, when we win those 3, we'll be qualified. And that's an excellent triple take out there from you and Kyle. And that
we could argue, we come back to making a play on yellow. Who's to say who's right, who's wrong? I don't know, but that's what we've got to consider.
Yes.
When do you make that play?
And now there is a situation where Hayley and Robin do need to play perfectly here to not leave doubles, which I'm sure if there is a double, Ewan will take it on.
I've lost the plot one as usual. How many stones are left?
Yeah, I was about to say that. I think there is only 1 yellow to come. So
as long as we put it. If you go back 8, other side of the rings, no double.
Yep.
They're not going to try a freeze. I think they'll have to hit and you draw for 2. Sure.
They are 2 up, so I think a hit would be fine. It's interesting that yellow that is on the almost the edge of the sheet. If that had been slightly over, there could be a chance of coming around that as a very wide corner guard.
She certainly looks like she's trying to draw to the other side.
Yes, absolutely.
Doesn't want to come tee high. Wants to be short of tee or back tee. Doesn't want to go tee high or leaves a natural double.
Robin nursing this one into the house.
Robin needs to make that decision now. Is he going back tee, which it looks like he is? and I suggest he's left it in the worst place. There's a natural angle for a double there, and Ewan's looking at it right now.
I think there is a double. It's quite. Is it quite flat?
No.
No.
Maybe flat for the Irish, but that's a Scottish double all day.
Flat for me, definitely. Even if there was a hit and roll accomplished here, I think that would be quite good if she didn't knock it all the way out.
This is of course Naomi's shot. This one.
Yes, it is.
Yes,
that's why.
That's what I keep struggling with. Who's about? How can Naomi still have a stone left? She's thrown one four shots ago.
Well, I like to refer to the two positions as the burger and the bun. The bun, of course, being the one that throws 1 and 5. And,
like the sandwich technique.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Praise them, slaughter them, praise them. Ross will be very familiar with that.
Yes.
If he's still listening, he's probably switched off, actually.
Well, you might have thought, oh, I can hear them now, I want to switch off. With if Ross was having a sandwich with the praise, of course, being the bread and the slaughtering being the meat, would be quite a lot of filling in there for Ross.
He's improved a lot recently. And played extremely well at World Junior.
Even if he did go for that double for a blank against Switzerland.
Yes, he did do that, but
he made it.
He's learnt the error of his ways. Alan finished him off. He made it, by the way.
He did. Which is probably what he's shouting at the screen.
So many shots that were outstanding, and then so unfortunately, we didn't play our best defender.
Ewan is sweeping the stone for the curl. It does look like it's going to hit on the nose. There is a little bit of a roll. And yeah, I think I'll concede that double is definitely on.
So they're taking it down here. This is when I sometimes wonder, is it to hit and lie here?
Yep.
And I think I would favour throwing a rush here and then sweeping your own stone. Thoughts?
Personally, I like a sweeper. I think, as you had said, I like the rule that the Spanish had come up with a complicated hit versus an uncomplicated hit. This is, you have a lot of the rings to roll to. I would be picking my spot in the ice, playing a nice kind of barrier weight.
So to a water bottle, probably.
Yes,
some other object that was surreptitiously placed.
A foreign object that was dropped. Some sandpaper or something. Yeah. No, that's a good nose hit.
Good secure nose hit.
And that is a 2, which ties us up after 5.
So Hammer goes back to Brown and Kyle.
So we head now into what I would classify as the end game. So at this stage, if possible, I would always encourage Neil and Alison to take their part play in the 6th end.
So you think now, if you were Brown and Kyle, you would maybe take your power play?
I would take my power play now, yes.
And
they haven't.
Doesn't seem they're doing that. So they haven't read the Irish manual on mixed doubles.
Perhaps being level, they would be happy to score here. I think
they can't be happy to score 1 here.
I think they'd be content. Obviously, you always want to score more than 1, but if they score here
in 4-man curling, 6th end, 8th end game, taking a 1 would be fine.
Yes.
I can't believe that could be fine in mixed, because I think bigger ends happen.
Well, what I think we will see happen should, no matter who scores here, I think the next end will be a power play. So if they were to score 1, Brighton, and
so whoever scores here, do you think that the other team will take a power play at the next end?
I think so. The thing that Duff and Brighton have to be careful of is, at the minute, if scoring continues, they will only have 1 more chance with the hammer. So therefore, if they don't take it in 7, they won't have the opportunity. And this is interesting. So for myself, if I was Haley, I maybe would have swept that on a little bit. When I would be looking to force, which they should be in this end, I quite like the dead freeze to the back one. You do leave the button. They freeze on top of you,
and then you
then freeze, and then the scoring area is very
narrow the score.
But so I would imagine that should Naomi and Ewan score here, Robin and Haley would take their power play in this end. It seems Naomi and Ewan are perhaps saving it for the 8th end, because as we may well see, it can be used as a defensive tactic as well as an offensive.
That's just heavy bumped off,
which is not an ideal outcome.
No, that gives.
And equally, it should Ewan and Naomi give up a steal here, they would be facing perhaps with only one more hammer left, so they probably would take their power play in the next game. But we will talk you through that as and when we come to it. Robin and Healy will want to control the top of the forefoot here. Where would you think the tolerance would be on this shot, David?
Because I can't see what they've actually chosen to play.
Yeah.
You could argue both ways for coming down the right or the left-hand side of that centre guard, but I would be coming down the right-hand side on top of my own blue.
But do you think that coming up a little short is okay?
Yes, well, definitely. Sorry. Yeah, I'd be coming up top 4.
Yeah.
I'm not sure whether you tuck it. If you tuck it, I'm not sure you tuck it. See, they're playing down the other side.
Yeah.
Now, if they come deep,
They
I don't think that's a good shot.
Yeah, they perhaps have seen this backing and are coming to it.
I don't think
Even
that's
subconsciously.
strength in the end for them.
No, that is
Because they've now left a pocket.
that is disappointing, I think, for them. Although, given that, if Ewan does make this draw, Healy can come down on top of him, as I have described before, and that does surround that yellow.
So the force is on again.
The force is still on, but I think the thing I found playing mixed doubles compared to the men's game, you're asking about end plans. I think that the gears can shift really quickly, and you have to be prepared for that.
Yeah.
And they maybe needed, and perhaps they did recognise that as a strong situation to steal and to go for that. But it is perhaps part of their end plan as well.
They might be thinking three stones ahead here. Put that in, lead to that, we go on top. Limit score.
You should know I'm not very good at thinking 3 stones ahead. I can maybe do one. And this draw's coming in here. Does it look a little bit heavy? But got the backing to come to. He releases one of the back yellows. And again, Robin Bryden in the way.
I'll speak to him after the game.
I think we have to.
This is outrageous. That's actually, now I see the yellow's pretty effective, isn't it? Because it's on the inside, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah, he has managed to get it. Yeah, and this is what we were talking about with the angles, and that is an excellent angle for them.
It's just updating the scores from other sheets. Those following online.
We've seen a bit of a comeback.
Yeah, interesting. So
we will update you in a second.
5-0 lead, 5-4 lead for the Henderson. Valentine's now 7-4 up on Croman. And McCormick Bar, the late Kirsty Bar, and 4-2 up on Andrew
Kerrin, yes. Yes, Andrew and his brother Adam have caused me all sorts of problems with the draw. We now have AN Kerrin and AD Kerrin.
The Academy squad. Andrew's a young.
Just to confirm, Kirsty Barr is not deceased. She was late
In case her
arriving.
parents are worried, she's very much not deceased.
That's a nice shot from him. But yes, you can see there has been a bit of a comeback for the great team. I think they have used their power play to achieve that, though. And Ballantyne have come on a bit of a roll from 4-1 down against Cromer. They're now 7-4 up, and I think that's what you were alluding to earlier with big swings.
What I was referring more to the mixed doubles in general.
Yes,
and the Craig Lisa Davies score against Faye. So that's a bun fight now.
Absolutely, and McCormick Bar at 4-2. That's still anybody's game as well. See, some different paces going on here. We've got Cromer and Ballantyne sprinting away, having completed their 6 ends, but James and Lisa and Faye and Andrew need to sharpen up with 4 ends when he's done. here this is Ewan's last shot at the end.
Robin's looking pretty content at the end. Nice chart over here.
This is standing in the rain. Yeah, I think they're trying to move something here, but it may catch the guard. It's coming in to the picture now, and it does just flick off, which doesn't really achieve a lot for them. It was you in second, apologies. Well, I think this comes down to what is. We had talked about this. We had talked about this yesterday, in fact, about end plans and sticking to end plans. Perhaps people that are better than that than others. So do you come back to what your original end plan was, or do you recognise this as an opportunity perhaps to steal?
Oh God. So I think
they are content with the force.
They talked about curling freezing the blue.
Yeah.
Which maybe nails on there. It's a risky shot.
I don't think they could move that yellow out at this stage, so that's perhaps why they have elected to guard that. Because if it was possible to sit 4 blues in the 4 foot, that would be quite good.
By guarding up, they're trying to limit the score.
Yes,
yes.
yes.
Corner freezing their own blue. I think they talked about maybe making that. So it's just how deep the guard. They're trying to put the guard top of the 12, I think, with the last indication.
Yes, they had tapped kind of tight to the house, and I think that's good. On this swingy ice, it does need to be quite tight to be effective.
The outside yellow.
This is coming on a bit, and it does look like it's over curling as well. I know in my experience at the CCT a couple of weeks ago that it seemed almost dished. The further we would go out, the harder it would come in. So that hasn't quite accomplished what they had wanted.
I don't know if yellow can score 2 on the face of the yellow, can they?
It's difficult to tell from this angle.
The button is.
But I think even if they were to put it on the face of the yellow, they perhaps would have a chance to kick that inside the next one. And this is Ewan's last shot, so there is one from Robin to come, and I think that if there is a chance for him to move something, he may well do, although he would have another chance at the guard. Should yellow lie 1, I think he probably would elect to play the guard, given what he chose in the last shot.
Yep.
Ewan is going to try and tap something. He's calling quite vigorously for sweeping. If they get past, they need to get past this top blue, which he has managed, and he has moved some of those blues, and that's a really good outcome, I think, for them. They're definitely line 1. It could be 2.
It has to be a force here, I think. As Robin makes. Yeah, I think they are line 2. If he chips that out, is there a way in on the other hand for 2?
Oh,
there maybe is actually.
It's difficult to tell. I think Robin probably wants to just about lose this one.
Yeah.
And then that does cut off that side.
Yeah, and then there is probably a draw on the in-turn. Or on the clockwise, should I say.
Absolutely.
Another rule change I struggle with.
But do you know that it was changed? It's not anti-clockwise, it's counter-clockwise.
I can only apologise.
I prefer wither shins myself.
You prefer what?
Wither shins. Oh dear, that is not a good result for Robin. He just overcurled there, played it at a down weight. Cats didn't know the ice. And is there a chance here for 3 for
if you can
Ewan
the shooter? There is.
Ewan and
just, I think they lie
certainly lie 1.
First and third.
Yeah.
If you can chip the top blue and hold in the green rings, then you're looking at 3. You could actually, well, you could, but it's difficult to call this. too much of the blue, you give away one.
I'm wondering. Oh, I
you
don't.
can maybe draw for 2, a safer option. If maybe you lie 2 already, though. I don't think they do.
No, I don't think they do.
Just lie 1.
It's one of these ones that if you could manage to lift that blue out of the back of the, well, it's not going anywhere in the back of the rings, is it? The back of the forward.
Top blue needs to be chipped out.
Yep.
Hold the shooter.
To fully in
For
the
three,
fully
I
in the
think.
green. Yeah.
As you say, it needs to be fully in the 4-foot.
They could catch that blue at the back of the 4 on the way by and maybe just give themselves a bit more room.
Margin.
It's a tricky shot here. I think she probably would be content with just chipping it out for her too.
Yeah.
Because taking 2.
Yeah, chip it out low wide.
Yeah, taking 2 does
2's a good.
Does put the pressure on Duff and Bryden.
We'll see. You think the power?
I think we will see it. But
exciting.
It does look wide here. Ewan is sweeping hard for the curl. This is coming in now. Is it catching enough of the blue? It is not. And that may well have pushed them in for a shot. Oh no, Robin indicates 1 yellow.
1 yellow with it.
I'm going to bet right now that we see a power play. I don't know what I'm going to bet. I'll buy you your lunch. That's what I'll do if we don't see a power play.
That'll be our first. I don't know, these Irish people have deeper pockets than the Scots. Right,
here we go. Bated breath.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
I can confirm that David has moved to the edge of the seat. Let's see now, Ewan. Don't let me down. Come on, Healy. Put it. Oh, yes.
What
there
a
we
man.
go.
You don't think he's an expert?
So as you can see, this is the power play setup. So
Right.
they can choose which side of the sheet that they want this to be on. As we look at it, Duff and Bryden have elected to put it on the left. So what this does is this moves the stone in the house from the back of the 4-foot on the centre line to the edge of the middle of the 8-foot. Crucially though, it is above the tee line now, and instead of a centre guard we have a corner guard.
And so what do you think the opposition's first stone is going to be here then?
So personally, I would freeze. I would play a corner freeze onto that blue.
So you're 2 up.
1 up.
Sorry, 1 up. You'd freeze it.
Yes. Now, if I was any more up than that, I would like to play the tick. So this is a shot that's I think unique to mixed doubles, which is where you try and move the corner guard with your own colour into the rings and roll it yourself. You and Naomi have elected to play this freeze. We may well see the tick throughout the day. We are live streaming for the rest of the day, so hopefully we'll see that at least once.
It looks good.
No, I think this is really tricky from mixed doubles.
This is what I noticed about this. There's a lot less swing.
Yeah.
Into out.
Yep.
And that's really wide when you see that.
Yeah.
And that's 2 feet wide.
Yeah. I think they just misread the ice there, but it is tricky, and I really commend Naomi on her weight control there, because having spent the whole game playing out to in, coming in, and now you do have to go down that centre line on a path that hasn't been played. Yep.
Maybe slightly less weight needed. The big swinging out in path.
Here comes Robin, and Robin now, frustratingly, I think, he cannot remove this stone. So if he is going to move it, that is fine, but he can't move it out of play. No. Robin's seeing a plan B perhaps and wants to just bump and roll off, and that's quite a good result. And again now, no takeouts can be made at this stage. It will be the next one that takeouts can't be made. So this is
corner freeze on blue, I think.
Yeah, I think that's a good shot. Yeah. The other option at this stage, if you wanted to, would be to try and split the house, to go to the side of the 8-foot. That would be difficult for her, perhaps. I think the power play only came into mixed doubles, I think, 2 seasons ago, and then teams are starting to perhaps figure it out, but there still are a lot of scores.
I don't think that. So I was working on it, St James, and I was trying to cows into it, but once they'd scored, use a power play.
Well, there is that option. I think it has been associated traditionally with an end game tactic, as I kind of called it, but I had a chat actually with Tony Zumac at the Scottish Mixed Doubles Championships, and in that situation in the final, one team I think was 3-1 up. They'd stolen, or 4-1 up, maybe they'd taken a 3, stolen a 1 and forced a 1, something like that. And he said, well, why don't you use a power play now? You know, you're 4-1 up, let's go 8-1 up, let's go 7-1 up, and then all of a sudden you're out of sight.
Yes,
but
no, you can only use the power play when it's your hammer.
Correct. And the difficulty, I think, is that perhaps with mixed doubles there isn't that same attitude of hitting for home. You can't really do it in the same way. We will see if Robin and Haley are going to ignore this yellow. Whether I think they'll probably elect to hit and roll though.
Yeah, because the live 3.
Absolutely.
The live 3 with the hammer can't be a bad situation. And this is when I think it gets more conventional.
Yes. With the play moved to the front of the tee with that stationary stone, I think that does help bring it, as you said, more conventionally. She will want to roll away at this stage, but she does look quite high of line, and Robin is sweeping it, so maybe they had called to roll in behind the corner guard, and it's finishing now, so it's good.
Yes.
This is very excellent.
Tough to play a double, she'll jam one of them. I think they'll jam it. Or could easily jam it.
No, Ewan has made 1 triple already, so he's going for a second.
And this is maybe where there isn't a bias to having Ewan in the middle of this team. Yeah.
Well, actually, the Russian pair who were at the Olympics and were stripped of their bronze medal, but they were the ones that Alexander Krishnatsky failed the drugs test. No. So, sorry, they weren't from Russia. They were the Olympic athletes from Russia.
Well, they're not really from Russia.
No, apparently not. Anyway, so they do play with Alexander as the bun.
As the what?
The bun.
The bun?
As in first and last.
I'm glad I questioned what you said.
Burger bun. We've been through this.
Yes.
So they do play that way, but in a power play situation, they switch that. So during the game at any time, for the viewers at home, during the game at any time, you can switch the order that you're playing. And most teams do stay with what they have. Ooh,
that's a good double.
Yeah, it's a good double. So you can switch. So for the Russians do in that power play switch for him in the middle, and I think it is for that reason, as you had said, that he will have that chance to hopefully move some stones and get them out of trouble.
Yeah. So now round the corner.
You would think so.
And what do the opposition do?
I would be content if I was them to hit the open one.
Yeah.
Hit in line.
Because you're going to lose it.
You can give up a 2, you're 1 down, you then take your power play, your 4 foot is open, you will always have a draw to the 4 foot for that extra end. Should you need it, but you'll also have one around the corner, they'll need to make that corner freeze and try and limit your scoring.
Do you know what would be really useful on this? Is that the stone count.
We can get that.
Can we?
Yes.
A huge difference to me.
Do you want to do it? Or do you want me to do it?
Well, we are near technology, as you well know.
Absolutely. We can add that particular bell and whistle for our next game.
I think it would make a huge difference, because I still find it difficult.
You know what, David? Just for you, I'll do it for the next end.
For me and anybody older who should comment.
Well, maybe. And I think Robin and Haley have
still not finishing that.
No, I think they learnt a little bit from Naomi and Ewan, but
it's left the double.
It has left the double again.
It gets a bit frustrating. It's just not quite enough finishing to the edges of the sheets there.
Not quite. And Ewan would be incredibly happy if he made this double. Obviously, he would then look to be forcing the opposition to 1. I talked earlier about blank ends. Yes. Would they elect to come around the corner anyway? That's a good shot.
That was well iced actually, because it runs really straight there.
Yep.
So that's a really good shot.
Ewan has played incredibly well, especially on sets. They are electing to come around the corner. I think think that is a risk they need to take at this point.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. Need to try and nice it right. See if they can bury it, and they might get a chance.
There is one to come for Naomi, so you would imagine, should they do that, she's going to probably play a freeze on that, or get into that area, make it impossible for a double.
Or split the rings. Split the rings and not leave a double. But that one's in the forefront, that's tough to do.
Yes.
So you're right, they may have to follow the blue in.
Yep.
Try and...
But even if they were short and they set it up so that if the double was attempted, as long as you don't leave the double takeout, I think they'd be happy with that outcome. And the stone is away. It does maybe look a little bit wide. Robin is sweeping for that curl. I'm not sure.
He's trying to push it down the hill anyway. So I presume it's wide of line at the moment.
Needs to be careful. This does look to be finishing more than others. Ooh, just wrecked. Make sure it does bite them.
Good attempt, I think.
Yes, yes. Robin does look disappointed, but understandably so. Now we will look to just hit this on the nose to successfully force their opposition, and then should we come level in the 8th, then we will see the power play used defensively. Again, we come to the choice of hit weights, and I think that the hit weights that we will see will be a kind of controlled barrier weight.
Used to lie about. Now this is interesting though, actually, because say they roll out here.
Yes.
Blank in the end has a different connotation in this game.
So blank in the end, you do give up the hammer.
Yeah.
Therefore, you do need to take your one. And at this stage, I think that Hayley is preparing herself for that nose hit, regardless of what happens here.
Good.
It's well executed.
So force of 1.
So
tied game. If the shot's made anyway, going home. And score updates on the sheet. Craig is now.
I think there may have been a few errors, so I've just looked at our scores on the Scottish Curling website, and it seems that Craig was the one that took the 5-0 lead, not Henderson.
For goodness sake, I mean, you just can't get the staff.
But we are now 7-5 there after 6.
So Craig 7, Henderson 5. After 6. McCormack 5, Kellen 4. After 7. Valentine 9, Cromar 4, finished.
Robin successfully made that hit for a 1 there, so we are level playing the last end, and just for Rambo, I will bring up the stones left. So you can see there we have 5 stones left.
That's made such a difference to the whole outlook.
So we see here that the power play is happening again. I would not be surprised if we see Robin throw a guard on his shot. He needs to steal, so he throws it to guard.
Yellows have to score. Yellows are thinking take a 1.
Yep, they're thinking keep that 4 foot clear,
So
give Naomi that drop.
Let's have 4 foot, 6 foot, 8 foot to draw to.
You're being a bit greedy with 8 foot.
Well, I just think centre guard. Here's a good call.
Yeah, I would expect a centre guard here. Again, though, if you do come into the rings, that isn't a disaster. They can't hit it.
They can't hit you.
But the centre guard, I think, probably would be the call.
And you're thinking steel.
Absolutely.
And you'd normally throw double centre. The fact they can't hit stones in range makes a difference.
See here now, we've only got four blue stones. We've moved it on.
For all your
the graphics wizardry.
patience and consideration.
Absolutely.
So what's the yellow call?
If that's centre guard, they can choose either to come around that centre guard, or they could come around the corner guard themselves. They could play a tick as well.
Coming around the corner guard doesn't seem to do any more for them in this situation where they only need to score one.
They do seem to be playing the tick shot here.
Yeah.
Let's see, now the tick shot, of course, is that they can move this. They cannot remove this.
Too heavy, so that'll be replaced. And we'll see what the Blues do. Are they going double centres? Are they coming round?
Well, on the next shot, the Yellows will be able to hit. So after this shot, Yellows will be able to hit. So they probably will take a run at a double if it is a run back double or if it's a double peel. So
that first guard is kind of in zone 2. It makes
Yeah.
it tough to separate the two guards.
yeah,
Maybe that makes you more prone to draw around it.
I think at this stage I would want to draw around it. Maybe I'm just impatient.
Very impatient. I'm pressing all the wrong knobs, I've noticed.
He is coming down an intern. Robin looks like he likes the weight of this. They will be careful.
Ewan was disappearing out of shot, and to return to shot. We're coming round. We're looking back tee.
Yeah, I was going to say that the back tee is not a good outcome at this stage, although I suspect that Ewan will still peel this card. Yeah. We've seen Ewan be very accurate on his hit weight in this game, so I think he will be confident with making this.
He's thinking I don't know if moving the corner guard actually matters, but he's thinking of trying to do both.
Yeah. I think he's just conscious of where the shooter is going.
Yeah, no, he's right. He thinks it might come in off the back of the blue actually.
Yeah, they might come in off the back of the blue. Come to their yellow.
It's nice to have the counter
Yes.
because you can roll out with your last stone if it goes to the bank.
Absolutely. And here comes the peel. I think it's called it.
The only problem with that is it blocks that draw line a little bit.
It does. You do see
if they're supposed to come down that side at the end.
Yeah. We will see Healy Duff continue to guard here.
It's more important that the guard's good than it actually guards the blue, I think, at this point.
You would rather see a centre line guard?
I think I would. You want to make your final stone the clincher.
The interesting thing is if they did put a centre line guard on and Ewan did a similar thing where he left his shooter and play out the front, then all of a sudden you do have something that's creeping towards the 4 foot.
Yeah, and whilst that's not a bad stone, and it's pretty good for centre line obviously.
Absolutely.
I think it's important you put this guard on close to centre as possible. Maybe a little tighter than the last one. You don't want to leave a raise, but you don't want to leave something that they can chip out.
Yes. This does look a little bit heavy. Coming down the sheet.
It's going to over curl.
He's coming down nicely.
Pretty good.
That is pretty good.
Pretty good.
And the difference we would call that a zone 3.
Zone 3, just
So
that bit closer to
Do
the ring.
you want to talk through the zones?
Well, I can, yeah. So starting at the hog line, zone 1 is a long guard, zone 2 is a middle guard, and zone 3 is the one that's just been played. And then in the 12 foot would be zone 4. In the 6 foot 5, in the 4 foot 6, and on the T9 7.
Yes.
And then 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then generally we go up to things like bearing weight, hat weight, barrier weight, bumper. Bumper for our Canadian friends.
Good board.
Good. And barrier.
Barrier.
Which is a very nice Scottish expression.
Yes.
And then various different stroke weights.
Yes.
But the zone calling is really quite useful because it's really good communication from sweepers to the head, so they've some idea of what pace is coming at them.
I believe that was instigated by the Furby Four, as they were called.
As you are the curling historian, par excellence, I bow to your superior knowledge.
That's the story I've heard, but who knows? I'm sure there's somebody this side of the Atlantic that would probably lay ownership to it.
Sounds like a Randy Furby technique, actually. It's been well adopted by most people.
Almost everyone, I would suggest. The only time I don't call a zone is when I don't know.
That's why there's so much silence in your games.
Absolutely. Well, a big fan of Simon and Garfunkel. You know the sound of silence.
Silence. Oh no, I shouldn't sing online.
Okay.
I promise I would.
I was going to say, David, that was the one thing you promised you wouldn't do.
Or swear. I think.
Well, not even go there. So far, maybe you swore when the audio wasn't working. No one will know.
It was a very, very frustrating moment.
So the centre guard comes in, and that's well placed again.
Now they're protecting. Hoping they've protected this.
Yes.
But at the moment there's such a swing on this ice out in this, I think that's struggling to be safe.
If this was replicated in a shot's time, if Robin was able to put that guard in that same position, there still is that chip out that you had mentioned for
Mind you, there's nothing else they can do at the moment. I think that's the right call at the moment.
Absolutely.
And we hope to bury one better around to take it off. Or maybe we'll have to come into the rings top 8.
Yes. Perhaps you would want to do that. Play a double. Yeah. You want to make that draw probably as tough as possible.
Yeah, and it's too early to make it up.
Yes. Well, you perhaps ask yourself that question of when we heard Team Mao at the Worlds when they won in that extra end over the USA. They stole that end and they asked themselves, what do we want them to do? And for them, they wanted them to draw. That might be what they're thinking, or they might be thinking something else.
Yep.
But at this stage, they do have to accept that they will be leaving their opposition a shot. Union does just miss that run back. So there will be. Here's the choice. See them discuss it. Haley looks like she's tapping the top 12. And the top 8. Robin's trying to convince her to come T-line. Or closer to the T-line, perhaps.
So what are you thinking you're going to leave? I mean, if you were to come in front of your own stone, top 8, you think you leave? Because I think that's a really
No, I think top 8's the place. Yes.
Playing a double.
Yes.
Or playing a draw. Right?
Would you want?
But if you come into the forfeit, I think we'll play a double.
Yes, the double's easier there. I think you want to leave it in a place where the double is as hard as possible, but also the draw is.
So I think middle of the white would be nice.
Yeah. Would you leave a piece of that back one showing?
I try not to.
Okay. You don't want to tempt them?
No, I try not to. Because I'm favouring them taking on the double.
Okay. But okay.
Because I'm thinking what I want them to.
But I'm wondering if the angle double is more difficult than the straight back.
Well, if you put it straight back, there's a chance of walking.
Yeah.
I get the point about leading a little bit. It just tempts them to go for the rub the guard and move through. Yep. It's a very sneaky Irish technique.
Very good.
Obviously served you well in the past. When did you last win a game?
It was on. What day is it today? Friday. It was on Wednesday night. It was
the Perth Open.
Do you want me to name drop?
That wasn't mixed doubles.
No. The last time I won mixed doubles game, I dread to think. Right, we beat David Hay at the Perth Open.
David Hay's one of my heroes. I couldn't possibly elaborate on
Haley is sweeping this furiously. It looks like Robin has maybe dropped this a little bit short. She wants to bring this in as far as she can. She's sweeping this well. Keep going, Haley. Oh, that's maybe just a little bit short.
It's just too short. They've allowed them to draw on the out turn because the other hand's blocked.
They have asked the question though.
It's not a gimme. No, you've got to make it. You've got to judge it. There's been one or two wrecked on centres top.
And as we said earlier, she hasn't thrown a shot for a good few stones. And in fact, her last shot was a tech attempt, and it was on the other side of the sheet, so she hasn't played this side. And she hasn't played a draw in a little while. This end certainly is, so we'll see how Naomi does. And Ewan is sweeping this. Sweeping it hard. Naomi's thinking about joining in. She is going to join in. Coming down. Is this going to over curl? Oh, they may have just... Oh, that has wrecked on the top one, and that is a steal. My goodness, so that is a misdraw, and that does mean that Hayley Duff and Robin Bryden have won this game. What do you think of that, David?
Well, I think they'll be obviously delighted to win it. And we've noticed that it's been quite a big swing out to in. 1 or 2 wrecking, 1 or 2 catching, so maybe they asked the right question after all.
Absolutely. Now, before we go, we will just recap the other scores for those watching at home. So Andrew Kerrin and so it was 6-4. McCormack beat Andrew Kerrin. Craig ended up winning 10-5 against Henderson. And then, as we've seen, Bryden was 7-6 winners, and Ballantyne beat Cromar 9-4. So that concludes our first session.
Thank you. Sorry about any technical issues, but
absolutely.
They're way beyond me, and they're probably beyond Owen. But we'll try and resolve that. Hope you've enjoyed it.
Yes.
If we haven't done what you wanted us to do, or if we haven't been up to scratch, let us know.
Absolutely, and we will be back in about 20 minutes for the
Will we?
next draw. Absolutely.
You said you were going to buy my lunch.
Oh yeah, but that's after.
Oh, after that. How
After.
exciting!
Yes. So the next game that we will be covering is again on this it's on this seat.
We're not moving seats.
No, and that is going to see Kinnear take on Bryce and Macmillan. So it's Callum Kinnear and Millie Smith against
Callum
Angus
and
Bryce,
against
and Katie McMillan.
2 very strong outfits. Let's
Absolutely.
see what happens.
Okay, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you in about 20 minutes.